Hey, what's happening, football peeps? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 15 4 key game picks. Alright, let's take a look at the current playoff standings now after 14 weeks of the regular season. Let's begin in the AFC. The Patriots still hold the 1 seed. The Kansas City Chiefs now are the 2 seed. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the 3 seed. The Houston Texans are the 4th seed. Current wildcard spots are in the 5th seed, it's the Raiders, and the 6th seed is the Miami Dolphins. In the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys still have the 1st seed. The Detroit Lions are the 2nd seed. The Seattle Seahawks now go to the 3rd seed. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now the 4th seed as they've taken over in the NFC South Division. Current wildcards at the moment right now, the 5th seed is the New York Giants, and the 6th seed is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, virtually, now a lot of you are saying, okay, now for a point here, Kansas City, Oakland, Tampa Bay, and Atlanta. Both teams are currently tied in their respective divisions, but they will flip. They will start going back and forth, swaying away to see what will towards the end of the season, and then we'll know. But those are your current playoff standings right now at this point. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail what I thought from week number 14. Now, because a lot of it, I think it deals with playoff implications now. I think we acknowledge the fact now that the Patriots pretty much have locked up everything. They technically haven't won their own division just yet, and they haven't wrapped up home field advantage yet, but they probably more likely will if they do win their game in week number 15. Now, Kansas City and Oakland, pretty much both teams are going to be in the playoffs. It's just going to be regardless. One team will get the division, the other will be a wild card team. Definitely Pittsburgh and Baltimore, it's going to come down to that Christmas game coming up in week 16 to determine who wins the division for sure. Pretty much Houston. Well, right now the Houston Texans, they got to really watch out now because now even though Indianapolis is still right on their tail, they cannot forget about the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are on a roll, and they are now becoming a team that nobody expected, especially in that terrible division, that they could possibly overtake Houston if they win out. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens down the stretch in the AFC Conference. Miami and Denver, two teams right now, a little bit of big concerns right now. Denver right now, they're not playing all that well. Miami, even though they kind of lucky right now that Tannehill only has a sprain MCL and ACL, but he's going to be listed day to day. That could blow Miami's chances. And Miami technically has a tough schedule in the next 3 games if they want a chance to get in the playoffs, almost as bad as Denver does. So tough to say who gets that last playoff spot. In the NFC, Dallas, even though they lost the Giants, they still pretty much wrap up the division they could wrap it up come Sunday. Detroit, I think Detroit needs to look out now. They may be controlling the NFC North division for now, but the Green Bay Packers are playing much better and are getting on a groove, and that spells trouble. Detroit is not good on the road. I think they are undefeated at home. I think they've lost 1 game at home, but they need to keep in mind they got to play Green Bay come the last week of the season. That's going to be quite interesting to see because the way Green Bay's playing right now, Minnesota isn't playing all that great now. Detroit, they're barely lucky they're winning their games. So, and I look at other teams like the Seahawks. They will wrap up the division on Thursday night. They got the Rams coming in. That should be given. Seattle should win that game pretty handily. Tampa Bay and Atlanta, it'll definitely come down to the final 3 games to see who will take that division and let alone the wild cards. Anyways, enough of that. Enough chit chat. Let's now get into the 4 key game picks now for week number 15. And let's begin with key game number 1. It is the Detroit Lions at the New York Giants. The New York Giants are a 4.5 point favorite. I do agree with that. Detroit is not a road team. They do not play well on the road, and need to keep in mind, Matthew Stafford has a dislocated middle finger. No, this is not the F word or anything. No, he got injured in a play throwing a pass, and one of the Chicago defenders hit him on the hand, his throwing hand, and now he's pretty much going to have to wear a glove the rest of the season, the rest of the way, determining how far Detroit gets if they manage to win the division and go to the playoffs. Statistic-wise, let's take a look at some quick quarterback stats. Stafford went 21 of 35, 233 yards, 1 touchdown pass. Eli Manning went 17 of 28 for the Giants, 193 yards and 1 touchdown pass. Now, both teams in their respective games, barely beat their opponents. And you could say this game is kind of a toss-up. I wouldn't say it's a toss-up all that much because the Giants have been playing very well at home. Detroit's not a good road team. They have problems on the road, and I think with this New York Giants team that's continuing to get on a roll, I think that spells trouble for Detroit. And this is why I'm going to go with the New York Giants here. They're continuing to play at a very, 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 very good level right now, and they need to right now if they want to get into the playoffs. They currently are the 5th seed at the moment in the NFC, and I think this is a game they will continue to stay on their winning streak. Detroit, like I said, Detroit's not a good home team. Road team, pardon me. They're not a good team on the road. They're much better at home, actually. But in this case, though, you got to go with the New York Giants here. I think the Giants will pretty much handle Detroit. Pretty much handle Detroit a loss here. But expect a close game. I expect this game to be close, but I just think the Giants will pull away in this one, and probably more or less in the fourth quarter they'll pull away against Detroit. Giants over the Lions. Key game number 2, the Tennessee Titans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think this is the first in a while that I've actually talked about the Tennessee Titans. And the reason being is that, the Titans really did a great job against the Denver Broncos last week. And they're starting to get on a roll. And now they're becoming a factor now in the AFC South Division. They are I think they're in second place right now, or third. But they're up there. They're right up there with the Houston Texans. And it's now a 3-team race in that division. Kansas City is a 5.5 point favored. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that number gets a little bit less, but I'll stick with it for now. Now, Marcus Mariota went 6 of 20. He didn't really have a good game against Denver, but somehow Tennessee's defense actually was the factor in the forcing turnovers here. Mariota went 6 of 28, 8 yards. Wasn't his best game, but this defense bailed him out, basically, in that game. And the Chiefs, Alex Smith went 17 of 26, 264 yards and 1 touchdown pass, but it was enough to beat the Raiders, despite having an early lead in that game against Oakland. And they were basically, their defense kind of was able to hold on to, and special teams really helped out a lot in that game against Oakland. This one I consider another toss-up here. Kind of tough pick, but I think the home field advantage for KC has been fantastic all season long, even though their only blemish was against the Buccaneers. But I like the Kansas City Chiefs in this one. They're continuing to stay pace, but I know they did lose a key player to injury, so that could come into a factor now. But I think Kansas City will have enough to beat the Tennessee Titans in this one. But expect this game to be also close. But I like the Chiefs in this one. I think the Chiefs will pull away by 10 points in the fourth quarter. And that's why I'll pick the Chiefs here. Chiefs over the Titans. All right, key game number 3. It is the New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos. This is not really a marquee matchup as it once was when Peyton Manning was at the time the quarterback of the Broncos. And the way Denver's playing right now, they're in trouble. They're in a bit of trouble here. They got a very tough stretch. You got the Patriots coming in, then you have to play the Raiders one more time, and you also got the Chiefs. And you have to play that, and they have to play there in KC. Now the Patriots pretty much, they don't have to worry too much here. They pretty much will wrap up home field and the division if they win this game here. The Patriots are a 3-point favorite, and that's just about right. Key statistics here: Brady went 25 of 38, 406 yards, 3 touchdown passes, basically one of his highest statistics in a game he's had in quite a long time here. But despite the fact that they barely beat the Ravens, actually, because the fact that a lot of the turnovers here, you probably won't see it in this game. No. Simeon went 35 of 51, 334 yards and 1 touchdown pass. He was barely able to come into the game because he did hurt his foot a couple of weeks ago, and that was a factor in the loss against the Titans last week. This is actually the easiest pick here because the way Denver's playing right now, I don't give them much of a chance here, even if they're even on home field. I like the New England Patriots here. The Patriots will wrap up the AFC East and home field advantage with this game, so there's no question. This is actually an easy game to pick here. You got to go with the New England Patriots here. Denver is a mess right now, and they're in danger. They're in danger now of falling out of the playoffs, and this is why I'm going to go with the Patriots here. Patriots over the Broncos. And finally, key game number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is a 7-point favorite in this one. Don't be surprised if that number gets a little bit lower, but I'll go with it for 7 points here. Tampa Bay continuing to roll, and they're tied for first place with the Atlanta Falcons. And currently, right now, they sort of hold the edge in the division right now. But it'll be tough to take down a stretch here. Now, Winston wins 16-26, 184 yards, no touchdown passes in that game. The defense actually was the factor against the Saints last week when they played them. So Winston didn't really do all that well in that game, but it was enough to beat a roaring New Orleans Saints team that really isn't going anywhere. Prescott went 17 of 37, 165 yards, and 1 touchdown pass in the loss against the Giants. Now, I don't think for Dallas they won't have to worry too much here. I know Tampa Bay's getting on a roll here, but I think in this case here, they might hit a wall with the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are good at home. They are a very good home team. And the way that Prescott and Elliott have been playing along in the offense here, they really are doing a great job of providing that offense. Even though their only blemishes right now are the 2 losses, and both of them at the hands of the Giants. But in this case, though, you got to go with the Dallas Cowboys here. I think Tampa Bay's defense is going to be on the field for a very long time. I know Prescott and Elliott will get the offense going, and I expect them to play at a much higher level. I think this will be a game that the Cowboys will wrap up the NFC East here. Home field, they probably won't wrap it up just yet. They won't wrap it up just yet in terms of the numbers but they pretty much, I can see them wrapping up the NFC East with this victory here against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this is why I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I think the Cowboys offense will be much better than they were last week against the Giants, and it'll be enough to overtake the Buccaneers in this one. Cowboys over the Buccaneers. All right, that wraps up my picks for week number 15. For all of the NFL lines and all of the picks for this current week, go to the sportblog.blogspot.com. Remember, my video goes up first, and then my blog post after that. Until then, everybody, I will see you all next week when I talk about my picks, Christmas edition for week number 16. Until then, I will see you all. I will see you then. Take care and enjoy your football week.